Another Monday brings more Aegis Defenders League action. Welcome back, everybody, to Aegis Esports GG on Twitch, as we are looking to finally set up postseason play here in the ADL. It's the final week of the qualifiers, and you got myself and Orbital to take you guys through it. Not the most fun scenario right before playoffs. You don't have any make it or, win it and make it in, lose and you're out. But Orbital, we definitely have two teams that are really looking to try and shake up their seeding and their position for that coveted playoff bracket.
Oh, 100%, especially because you are fighting against other teams that you may not have fought before. These are the top dogs out of all of the divisions here in the Defenders League, and that means a lot of spiciness can occur. And the higher the seed that you can go, the better. And with these two teams, they do have drastic ceilings and floors that they are able to reach depending on how this series turns out. So as he said, maybe not the most exciting. No one is going to get outright eliminated here, but it is going to have very big implications for their next matchup come the playoffs.
Eloquently said there, Orbital. We'll go with our first team that we're really starting to highlight when it comes to, what a win would mean for their standings. It's the Big Chillers, Corkis Towers squad. This one is from top to bottom. You got in the top lane. You guys, you're not going to get me on recording saying this name out loud. Good try there. IBM is their top laner. Past that, they have Thea in the jungle spot. Toomey rounds out the mid lane. Coffee Beans running the AD carry, and Sun and Stars in the support role. You'll take a look and see they are currently 5-1 with a +6 game score. Depending on how some of our other top matchups go, Orbital, this could be a team looking at a playoff bye.
Mainly, I am looking at Toomey in the mid lane. Very big Hwei player, played it in their first series here in the qualifiers, and I'm hoping that they're going to come out with some pretty nice stuff. I would expect that to be one of the highlight bands for Infamous, and just make sure to take that one away. Big side as well for BCCT is the fact that they also played all on blue side. Now, of course, with the current records, and a lot of people are preferring red, both squads actually tonight have opted or have stayed on blue throughout the entirety of the qualifiers, so I'm very interested to see if that shakes up.
Very interested indeed. Obviously interested to check out our challengers as well on the other side. And they live in infamy. Infamous 4-2 at 9-5 in game score +4 game record. They are not anywhere close to being eliminated like we talked about, but could get themselves a favorable round one matchup if they come away with this series. Their team obviously highlighted by their top laner, CB Batman, their jungler, Rigor Mortis. Mid lane brings I Am Charlie, Veer in the AD carry spot, and Seeker rounds out our final team of the day, Orbital.
Yeah, and taking a look at this squad, I mean, I've seen them before. I Am Charlie, very big carry at points, but at the same time, everyone on this squad is a threat. They've had their ups and downs, though. The synergy between the comps tend to be a little bit lacking sometimes, and I think that's what caught them off guard with the 2 losses. Other than that, though, I think they played pretty solid. Mainly, a big part is this squad is currently sitting at, I believe, inside of 6th place, and with that kind of idea is the fact that, hey, they have the options or the possibility, essentially options, no one wants to move down, but they have the lowest floor, meaning that they can go from 6th to 8th in a very convoluted manner. Not just that, they could also end up, depending on how the bottom rounds out, there is a very slight, no, they can go as low as 8th. So, I mean, they are relatively safe. I'm just curious to see how badly this is going to break out. And for them, that is the big goal. Try not to get eliminated, or try not to end up in 8th and have to face off against someone like Mint Gaming.
Yeah, no, it would certainly be a disastrous start. And Orbital, I'm glad that you subscribe to the idea. We don't need to do math, but we can play the high ceiling, low floor game. That's the more fun game. And I think that's exactly what we're looking at here. For BCCT, you can raise your ceiling up to a really nice spot with a bye in this playoff bracket. And then if you are Infamous, or you could really set yourself up to have to take on, not only a first tough round one matchup, but then, like you mentioned, likely if you win that game, you're not having to face I think they're 12-1 in game score right now, Mint Gaming. 12-1, 6-0. So not how you want to start off your playoff bracket. Adds a little bit of spice to this matchup. I know we're a couple weeks. I think we're at least a week, maybe some change since some of these changes came through to the game of League of Legends. But I do want to just remind everybody at home, in case we see it, Aurora has been enabled for a while here on the ADL. So definitely a champion we've seen Orbital already utilized by some of our teams, and I don't see that really changing, even if the meta might really shift up here by the time we get around to that deep playoff run.
It's up in the air. I think Aurora currently between a lot of these players tends to be really high or really low, and there's no real in between. We haven't seen that neutral ground for a lot of these mid laners, and quite honestly, they're more comfortable sticking with what they know and the team knows. Quite honestly, when I watch Aurora, it does require a little bit more, I want to say, hand holding at the start to get over the early game hump. But as soon as you break into that mid to late, it is powerful when you play around it. It is one of those things that everyone assumes that Aurora can be this great champion all in all, do whatever and play in whatever style, but you do have to, it does warp the game around the ultimate, around that ability to kind of stick in that fight and be able to negate one person. So I don't think we're going to see it here, at least from what these mid laners like to do. They seem to favor a little bit more hard control instead of the soft carry control that an Aurora would bring.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to play it. The one way I like to look at Aurora is I think she is, this champion is a really good answer to the marksman mid sort of issue. I don't know if I want to call it an issue. I find it kind of refreshing. I admit that it's getting annoying by this point, but I think it's fun that marksman mid was at least like a part of the meta for a while. But Aurora is a champion that between Worlds Ultimate, the one reason why marksman mid are so annoying for a lot of matchups that aren't other marksman mids is the fact that they can space you really well. They most of them bring really annoying dashes, and obviously they can do a ton of damage from range. Aurora does a really good job cutting down that space because obviously you're trapping them in a makeshift Camille, and then if you really want to get close to them, just turn around and you end up behind them if you hit the other edge of your ultimate. So I think Aurora is best utilized in those scenarios, and maybe we'll see them come out in this series. Who knows? I think the only thing we know, Orbital, is that we're going to get about every 80 carry under the sun played in 2 lanes, like we have for weeks now at this point.
I honestly, I've also had a lot of fun throwing around some ideas of just straight up rotating your bot lane to mid. Quite honestly, I'm surprised someone hasn't tried that just yet. Shorter lane, just get the gold, roam out with 2, and yes, it might make things exceptionally difficult on the rotate value, and your mid might be in a world of hurt, but at this point, you're running an ADC in either way. Stick it in a lane that you're going to get a lot of gold. I don't know. Don't take orders from me, and don't take advice from me either. That is a terrible, terrible idea. But I mean, I gotta agree that ADCs currently reign supreme. You're looking at the likes of an Ezreal in the mid lane, Tristana. I mean, we've seen Jhin pop out on pro play. It's literally which ADC do we want to bring? I think I've seen Varus crop up every so often as well. It's just the raw power that they bring to the table. ADCs feel very overtuned, and I wouldn't even say overtuned. It was the difference of we opted for these nurse to AP or some of the tanks and everything, and then ADCs were like, yeah, we didn't get changes, so we're great. It's that imbalance of everything else got nerfed, so we're now strong. And that, I mean, I can only assume we are going to see a lot of ADCs come out.
Yeah, I think it's a good point to make though at the end there. As annoying as ADCs mid are, they've been enabled by the fact there are so many powerful AP junglers. People are just forgetting about a lot of them because the AP junglers were the first ones to get nerfed. It was not the ADCs that got the nerfs too quickly, outside of maybe Tristana. Enough chatting about that. We'll see. I'm sure we'll have many conversations about it as this series goes on, like we've talked about with AP junglers and AD mid laners. But we were into our game 1 draft here. BCCT had the side selection, and they went with blue for game 1 here. And they'll start off with a Seraphine ban and a Maokai ban from Infamous. So take it away, what I have to assume are some pocket picks for these squads.
I mean, Seraphine has been climbing in the rankings. I know, I forgot who it was that played a crap ton over in the Protector League. It's very nasty and annoying, and it can be played in the bot lane, the Xerath as well. There's the play that I mentioned, BCCT, not going to have their hands on that one. So the mid laner, Tumi, is going to have to draft something completely different in that lane matchup and not have that control. You mentioned the Maokai. Yes, it is a ban. However, it is very low prio unless you're highly skilled in that jungle role. I don't see it being picked. This is going to leave a lot of options, though. Keep in mind, pretty much every ADC is currently on the table. A lot of just raw power is there. Yes, you take away a lot of poke threat and a lot of CC-laden work, but the raw damage is really the big part. Namely, the Ezreal, the Ashe, and the Jinx, to me, are all very high prio. And there it is, BCCT. Surprisingly, they banned the Ashe. This, I would assume, draws... Okay, not another ADC. It wouldn't be matched, which leaves BCCT a great first pick option.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to go towards mid lane, you lock the Corki or the Lucian in my mind. You could even go with the Ezreal like you're talking about. You could be one Ezreal here and throw him in the bot lane, but all right, well, maybe they're listening, Orbital. Maybe they know what we were talking about before we got to this draft here is Aurora will be the first B1 lock in here. Going into solo lane, I would assume mid lane, but I've seen it go both top and mid. There's some flexibility with this champion.
You can go ahead. I would like it mid, quite honestly. It's just a little bit safer lane for any sort of AP. Now, granted, the on hits are always so interesting, and the kit itself winds itself around the jungle. But this is the other side. I know you wanted Aurora. I know it's strong. However, I hope BCCT can play around it. It requires a little bit more resources. Infamous, for their own value, are going to grab the Leona, which is now, I think, eclipsing the Nautilus in terms of how hefty it is in there. And so it's just a lot more range to be had. The Caitlyn, please don't lock that in. I really don't want to see it. I want to see the likes, maybe a Misfortune, lock in that solid wombo combo. Caitlyn, though, maybe you're trying to play outside of the range of an Aurora. They are going to lock it in, which, I mean, you got Poke, you got Siege, but the DPS numbers right now just aren't fully stacking up.
Yeah, they certainly aren't. Maybe it's Veer's comfort champion. You know, you can always lean comfort in game ones. Caitlyn obviously does scale up with damage. She has her clear weaknesses when it comes to outside of lane. I think when people think about Caitlyn, really oppressive in the early game, very annoying at full build, but that sort of gray area in between, very hard to match. And well, yeah, there's the scaling factor really coming through for the Big Chillers squad. They'll get the Smolder locked in here. Curious to see what support they decide to pair with the Smolder. There's a lot of options, but I hope something that is passive in lane, able to support Smolder. Yeah, okay. So the problems. I like this draft from the Big Chillers so far if they can pilot the Aurora correctly.
I'm actually looking for a lot of engage tools. I would be very surprised if Infamous allows some of those jungle engage tools to come through here. I've seen Sejuani really climb right now, even though you do want to go towards AP. I get it. I understand. Brand is still really strong. But you need CC somewhere. BCCT want to have that ability to lock down the Caitlyn, lock down extras in the back end. If this is a Kog'Maw, this could be Kog'Maw mid, and I actually really like that idea. So Kog'Maw mid, you can outrange once you hit level 6. All of a sudden, the poke from Aurora, is not as strong as you would assume. So you're basically still playing that stay away from me moment. My fear is that Leona is not actually going to have as much help as you would assume going into the team fight. These next few picks in the jungle top for both squads will be very, very important to decide how the game is going to be played.
I think that's a great point, because I'm really interested to see how the top laners fare out here, because I think for Infamous, if they get some of these powerful AP junglers left up, I would rather lean towards them. I would really like a Lilia to follow up the Leona. I think Lilia is one of the best secondary engaged champions in the game, so maybe the Lilia comes around. But there's two ways to go about top lane for honestly both of these sides. Do you want a straight tank that can back up with extra engage, or do you want somebody that could win their matchup and be an extra carry? Because I could see, like, for Big Chillers, for example, right? Like, I think slamming an Ornn here blind would be like an amazing choice. Just like, let's just index fully into this Smolder and just scale with the Aurora and Smolder damage. But on the other side, Infamous, they have the R5 pick. Maybe you want to give CB Batman like a big time counter pick, and you could tell the Big Chillers squad know it. Their first ban here, throwing away the Camille, gonna take away the Gwen too. They don't want to deal with a disadvantageous matchup. They want to try and make sure that their top laner cannot get bullied out of lane and cause too much of a snowball.
My only issue with the Ornn is that you're indexing a little bit too heavily into the late game. That puts a lot of pressure on the early jungle pickup, and you're like, hey, dang, maybe we got to go Zins out. We have to fight in the early stages. You don't want to be in that situation. And now with the Cassante being hovered and locked in, I like this call down. Everyone tends to kind of glance over this Cassante. It's still very strong in its own right when piloted correctly. It's not the engage tool that I would really like to call in to play, but it's still powerful. There's the Yone, and I like this. Okay, bring a little bit of that raw power in, and this still leaves that flex opportunity, which I am assuming, Slayer, you are correct. Aurora feels like it might be going top because this Yone post level 3, I think is going to have a good time against that Kog'Maw, have a little bit of fun getting in range, slicing him up, and at any point that Kog'Maw is just not going to have a good lane, I don't think.
Yeah, Yone is one of the biggest AD carry counters there is out there. I mean, there's obvious assassin picks, but they're not in the meta. Riot and assassins, we don't even have that conversation, right? So Yone could make a Kog'Maw's life hell, and I really liked going Sejuani too. You recognize, all right, if we're gonna go Yone, now we have enough melee champions for the Sejuani stun passive to come back around, and there's that early game oriented jungler that can help maybe get one of these lanes ahead and maybe help you if you need to stall this game out until you get to that Smolder execute. So I am a very big fan of this Big Chillers draft so far, and makes sense why they're 5-1 and one of the teams that are potentially playing for a bye in this very coveted playoffs.
Yeah, BCCT, they tend to play very standard, very orthodox. They power through the early game, ramp up towards mid to late, team fight it out. That's why the way was so impactful for them a lot of the time. But for Infamous, they're locking in this kind of siege, just kind of demolish you before you can actually do anything. And that Wukong, I mean, I have to say, I understand the power of the Wukong early on. I don't know if it's going to be enough to kind of deal the brute force, because you take a look, Caitlyn doesn't have great power. Yes, in the early game it's annoying, but it's not overwhelming kill threat. It's not this kind of glaring strength of just I will kill you no matter what. Pair with the Leona though, that can bring a difference. Kog'Maw of course is just going to farm up, provide long range artillery. So this Wukong is going to have to do a lot of work for Infamous. Right now both junglers in my eyes are the key players. That's why both teams also left it for B5 and R5.
100%. You know, the one thing for Infamous is when it comes to judging drafts, you know, myself and Orbital have seen so many drafts, we've seen so many changes in the meta, right, that we're automatically going to gravitate towards the picks that are, you know, standard to what we expect to see success. But the one thing I think Infamous's comp is certainly holding is, you know, its uniqueness. And it definitely seems like if you're going to play this Kog'Maw mid in game one, if you're going to go for a Wukong, a Caitlyn 80 carry, those must be the champions that you are very comfortable on. And I can also confirm, thanks for our lovely production PVS there, it is going to be IBM on the Aurora top, so we are going to get that huge Kog'Maw counter pick with the Yone. But Orbital, it's always, you know, back to my point, it is always important to factor in that maybe these guys understand these matchups so well that they're going to just show us something we don't know.
Yeah, and that's the best part. I mean, especially across the leagues, you talk about the fact that there are different metas pretty much between everyone, and that's what this is so much fun in the qualifiers. You get a clash of the top dogs, and you're like, oh, this worked for you, but did this work for you? And now you have to deal with this. Yes, there's not so much flexibility. The Aurora is strong, the Ezreal is strong, but you see those little glimpses of, you know, I had to play this over the course of our regular season. Now we're going to bring it out, and now we got a match up. Namely, for me, I'm very interested for Toomey in that mid lane, a drastic shift from a way into that high DPS style. So I'm very, very interested. Of course, this is kind of that shakeup between the leagues, and it's a great showing moving into that playoff run where everyone's kind of button heads from different sides of the divisions.
Yeah, or will you talk about how things shift up between the leagues? Well, speaking of all the leagues here that Aegis brings to the table, they're all going to be coming together here as we are happy to announce the battle of, I'm calling it the battle of tier 3 orgs, to be honest with you. Titan Esports versus Aegis Esports. It's going to be the equivalent leagues on either side throwing hands, I believe, once the leagues have all wrapped up. So if you're, if you're a fan of the future of North American League of Legends, you know the future is all about NA going against, Latin America, going against CBLOL. Well, maybe Aegis and Titan want a little bit of slice of that pie before it comes around. So got those dates up here. Still got time to get ready and get prepared for it, but that's going to be a lot of fun. Something that I have not seen, many tier 3 orgs come together to do. So very awesome to see nonetheless, Orbital.
I think it's amazing. I mean, when you have these squads running together, you know that you want to breed competition and also try and get some of the best out there, and also show a little bit of, organizational pride. Listen, you play for one, you play for the other, and you're going to rep them all day long. So love the fact. Keep in mind, there are 4 different matches throughout. Those are all best of 3s, and you get to see some of the best, duke it out. As you saw, Masters Cap 600. There's also the Diamond League, Emerald League, and everything like that. I mean, I personally hope there's a lot of trash talk in there. I hope to see the best BM out there, flash those masteries, flash those emotes, and all the good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you guys got to make sure to get all that trash talking, because I'm personally the softie that loves both these organizations, so I'm just gonna be happy to watch them slug out, and it'll be super fun to start off the month of September. We, though, are very soon to start off our series to finish out the qualifiers between Big Chillers, Corkis, Towers, and Infamous. But before we get to that, you guys know what's coming. Let's take a listen to a word from our sponsors. After that, you'll get intermission, and then we'll finally be on Summoner's Rift. So we'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. Quick shout out to ProComps, our sponsor and a game changer app for the league community. This isn't just like the other tools. It's your personal draft coach, perfect for both teams and solo players. In fact, you can pair it with any other app you use. ProComp stands out with features like custom champion pools, personalized tier lists, and live draft advice. Think of it as having a virtual coach and a strategy toolkit all in one. They offer real-time champion ban recommendations. They already have over 200,000 downloads and thousands of daily users just like you. ProComps is user-friendly and totally free. It is a no-brainer to at least give it a go. Download Pro Comps now, and you'll experience a whole new level of drafting power in your league games. Go to procomps.gg, download it from Overwolf, or click the panel below on our stream. Quick shout out to ProComps, our sponsor and a game-changer app for the league community. This isn't just like the other tools. It's your personal draft coach, perfect for both teams and solo players. In fact, you can pair it with any other app you use. ProComps stands out with features like custom champion pools, personalized tier lists, and live draft advice. Think of it as having a virtual coach and a strategy toolkit all in one. They offer real-time champion ban recommendations. They already have over 200,000 downloads and thousands of daily users just like you. ProComps is user-friendly and totally free. It is a no-brainer to at least give it a go. Download ProComps now, and you'll experience a whole new level of drafting power in your league games. Go to procomps.gg, download it from Overwolf, or click the panel below on our stream. Summoner's Rift is upon us, as is game number 1 between our two teams to round out the qualifiers. BCCT, being Chillers, Corkis, Towers on your blue side, and Infamous on your red side. It's the battle of a counter pick and adjust in the draft for BCCT with a powerful mid lane counter and the comfort and maybe uniqueness of this Kog'Maw mid, Caitlyn and Wukong. One of these two sides will prevail and really shape up the landscape for this entire best of 3.
Oh, 100%. I am just personally very entertained by the fact that we do have IBM on that Aurora, and it's you know, it's basically a burn build. I like to call it the Lilia 2.0 in the fact that you just go burn, and it's very freaking annoying up there. So Batman, I'm pretty sure, wasn't expecting that pickup. Of course, in this instance, my eyes are drawn a little bit towards that bottom lane. Obviously, I want to see Stixie and Rigamortis play well. But this bot side, I mean, the Caitlyn pickup to me with Leona just loses a lot of oomph behind it. And Coffee Beans, I think, is going to be able to farm a very, very well on a Smolder, which is still seen as one of the, if not the greatest late game carry right now. So in the ADC role, it's just like, if this goes past about 25-30 minutes and, you know, it's not a drastic kill lead or anything like that, I mean, BCCT, I think, is going to have a really nice time.
Certainly. I mean, it's just the race against the execute threshold for Smolder, and it's You can get annoyed by it all you want, but you can certainly prevent it here if you are Infamous. Have minions crashing into our waves here. Prior is being started up. Hopefully, if you are the BC CT bottom lane, you're looking for the most passive bottom lane you can possibly find. While your mid laner is the one looking to be aggressive. But it does look like Toomey is feeling the Rangers melee matchup early.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned that it takes like level 3, level 4, and then a Yone comes online. You can't be taking that much damage. You have to be willing to concede inside of that mid lane a lot of the time, because Charlie is actually doing a really, really good job of managing their mana right now. Take a look, 80%, 90% still in there. You're going to be golden moving into that level 3 and 4. There's no worries. I mean, you're going to be really, really set to try and DPS down the rest of Toomey's HP. Of course, with the full clears coming out of the junglers, you're going to have to kind of maintain your advantage in there, your HP values. You have to know they're aiming for that level 3, level 4 between the two of them. Sejuani just what, like a hair faster? So, you know, it's going to be a little bit dangerous.
Both are pathing down towards that bot side. Maybe Malstixi will have an angle for a gank here, since the Caitlyn Leona bottom lane is the one that you expect to get prio. We'll see as that comes online. Oh, currently Malstixi only on that red buff. Low health bars on the top side as well, as we have another range versus melee matchup. The one lane that Infamous are hoping to find maybe a bit more control over now that they know it's not the Yone into the Cassante.
Give it a little bit of time as well, and this is also what I was kind of worried about. I know we talked about Sejuani being able to be an early game force, but quite honestly, you're still looking around that mid game. Once you hit level 6, level 7, that's when a Sejuani can come online. So, I mean, if you're looking down the lines of BCCT, you knew this was going to happen. You knew things were going to be a little bit dangerous until you get some levels, until you get some power in you, and then things can get a little bit more messy. Of course, in these lane matchups, there's a bit of difference on the bot side.
Big timing on that shield though from Sun and Stars. Coffee Beans just burns the cleanse, is able to back up to safety, but that is the power threshold we talk about with Caitlyn Leona. Coffee Beans doing well to keep close to CS, but it's obviously coming with a price.
I mean, I would assume at least 2 plays here on the bottom side. Easy for Veer and Seeker. But if you come out in CS, you know, evenness, you call that a win. Coffee Beans isn't worried about this early game. You know, as long as you don't feed, you're going to be okay moving into the later stages. Toomey is actually the one that I'm worried about, is right now, it does not look like you are comfortable in this lane matchup at all.
No, not in the slightest. It is really Charlie showing exactly why he was confident to pick this Kog'Maw mid lane. Does have to be a bit more careful now that the mana bar is a lot lower. Does have the Rigor Mortis jungle hover, as he's actually able to double scuttle up here to give himself a bit of a farm advantage over Malstixi.
At this point, you are just making sure that your laners are allowed to kind of keep moving forward, keep pressuring in, and lay down damage on the lane opponents. Of course, with the double scuttle, I am also looking towards that top side. Rigor Mortis clearing out their second time. But take a look at where IBM is currently sitting, very heavy in enemy territory. And because there's only one ward, IBM really does have to keep eyes on that vision, because you know a Malstixi doesn't have those scuttles, so you don't have that premier information. It has some information, but not the premier set.
Certainly. We'll actually... Oh, I thought Batman was going to take the reset teleport, but won't. We'll look to catch another wave, so IBM does have to be a bit more careful as things go on, but is really pushing that shove in. And Rigor Mortis does not seem content to get away from his clear speed to path back up here. We'll actually go for his first reset. Do like this tempo from Rigor Mortis. He's going to be able to go for 2 camps, and whenever he wants, if he wants to come off them with the bot lane pressure, succinctly resetting with Veer and Seeker, could be a very easy turn to this first Drake.
And especially with it being Infernal, I like that call to not go top lane. Of course, Malstixi is going to get a little bit of advantage. CB, that man might be in a bit of trouble here.
Yep, here comes the dive. There's the Between Worlds. The ultimate just came online. All out of it.
What a
Batman. He's going to go for it. He sidesteps everything to find the outplay. How clean was that from Batman?
You knew. It is very, very obvious where that Aurora is going to sit. So, hey, perfect read right there. However, inside the mid lane, we're seeing Charlie still have a good shot, and last time I saw Infamous, they were able to play this this Cogmon to a very fair extent. However, this collapse though is much stronger.
Whoa, Mouse Dixie not wasting time around, gets the flash, is going to get the stun lockdown. There's the fate shield over top. Toomey finds the kill. Charlie goes down. Rigor Mortis can't find the turn, and the numbers are still in the advantage of the big chillers, and they're looking to fight out. Heal through on top of the Sun and Stars just to keep the tempo up. Seeker has to flash away. Rigor Mortis has to burn his flash. Everybody on Infamous are burning their flash just to create distance, but the Braum stuns the flash from Toomey with a Zenith Blade root. Seeker is able to turn it. Rigor Mortis barely survives with the Ignite. It's going to be just all Seeker. Who says supports can't throw hands?
You know what? I got baited. I thought Toomey could get it, but man, didn't have enough damage at the very end. I actually wonder if that was a level up from Rigor Mortis, because I see that level 5 in there. I think that might have been a level up and then allowed to clone out. Wild turn of events to give such a healthy lead to Infamous, who are feeling very, very confident. Remember, with their composition, we said they need to be strong here in the early game. They need to get a consistent lead to allow their siege composition to really take off before the strengths out of BCCT come online. So to start a 3-1, yes, it was an error, but it's an error that they can capitalize on.
Capitalizing so far with a 1.5k gold lead, but still a kill over to Toomey, who is looking to be kind of the X-Factor bridge on this Yone, who can really get exactly like this on top of those marksmen with ease. But Charlie actually likes that trade. Goes pretty even with how low Toomey's health bar was. As Mouse Dixie is the one to jump onto the first neutral objective, it ends up being the Grubs.
It's still wild to me that an Infernal's sitting for this long. Like, it's...
Right?
I always assume people are going to go for it, but considering that mid lane fight, I can kind of understand why people don't want to go for it right now, and they just want a hard focus. Remember, this is a Yone Kog'Maw. Both do want to have that big scaling option, so trying to get a little bit of a lead will help. Coffee Beans, of course, calling down Mom to just try and help clear the wave, and I mean, this is where Veer and C are going to be good, but mid lane...
Oh, yep. Cyclone was up. Rigor Mortis immediately jumps on the opportunity, and what a clean kill picked up. But top side, it's back to an all-out from CB Batman, who's feeling confident after his 1 versus 2, but the defensive between worlds comes out from IBM to make sure that there is no further trade. CB Batman, though, is thinking twice about that. Does go unstoppable, but the buffer from IBM makes sure that play is shut down.
It does surprise me that IBM doesn't want to try and take this trade, especially since you have the burn behind it. But I think recognizing that, yes, the claws will absolutely out DPS you, even if you try and teleport out, yeah, it's a good call, I think. Would I have taken that trade? Absolutely. If I'm an Aurora, I'm like, please let me try and fight. However, at the current stance, Batman is doing okay. Got the Merc Treads early. There is no extra cut through for IBM, so this top lane needs some help, and that's exactly why Mouse Dixie is headed there.
Mouse Dixie with Glacial Prism available. So here's another 1v2. This time Batman doesn't have his trusty turret to help him. He doesn't have the all-out, but he still likes his odds. Gets the double stun up, gets a stun lock on top of his head, and Mouse Dixie makes sure to shut down any outplay potential, getting his revenge this time on the top side.
And that feels even better with the fact that IBM, you know the Wukong ain't going to be up here. Rigor Mortis already pathing down towards that dragon. But instead of trying to force it, because I'm taking a look, Batman doesn't have their TP. You're opting to recall with the wave pressuring in, and you're going to TP back up to try and, I think, freeze this out. Try and negate how much CS Batman is going to get and how much XP they're going to get. So, you know, a little bit of give and take there. Right now, though, Rigor Mortis now going to take this first dragon off the table. It is going to mean a trade of the Grubs for dragon, which leads to a 3 Grub possibility, or 6 Grub possibility for Mouse Dixie, depending on how these next couple fights break out.
That could be big for the big chillers, because Yone can certainly be a very big split push threat in this game. I think Aurora I could also see as one of those threats. But the real threat right now might be coming bot side, as they are looking for Coffee Beans to see the play lands. There's Leona lockdown. Good cleanse on the solar flare, and it flashes away. Coffee Beans is going to stay safe, and he's trying to get Sun and Stars out. That's a great Glacial Fissure to stop all of Infamous as well. Tons of flashes, tons of ults, but luckily for big chillers, nobody dies.
I swear that was Captain Jack Sparrow right there. Coffee being so quick on that cleanse, ensuring no extra damage went down. Because that was the difference between, hey, is the Wukong going to dive me, or is the Wukong going to stay away? Very, very well done. And it harkens back to exactly what I said. Coffee Beans, you just cannot die. You're farming. Yes, you're down about 20 CS. This is understood. It's not the worst in the world. You're kind of leveling out here. And the fact that that gold lead has not really extended any further for the side of Infamous, you can, you know, breathe a slight sigh of relief there.
Yeah, only a 600 gold difference for Veer. like you mentioned, expected in a Caitlyn versus Smolder matchup. Gold pretty close across the board, except for a bit of a gold injection over towards Rigor Mortis, as he's been a part of 3 of the 4 infamous kills. It's also very interesting to see maybe the new adaptation to Wukong, as I believe Rigor Mortis, yeah, rushing and already completing the Triforce. So that's a big early power spike for this Wukong's damage.
It's gonna feel nice, but of course, with that situation, you want to be able to use it. What a flash, though, trying to bring the fight topside.
Yeah, match though, and IBM just flies over the wall and he's like, that was really cool, but I've also got flash up.
With that stance though, Batman is feeling really dang strong in this top side, and you know, you're looking for an extra kill, but man, IBM just trying to dance straight out of harm's way. This is a wild, you know, just sticking around for the duels.
Yeah, I think IBM feels as safe as he can be whenever he has that invisibility up. But hold on, Batman is a lot more friends coming his way. The 2v1s look dicey, so what do big chillers do? They call for 4 to go against CB Batman, and it works out as cleanly as possible.
The other reason for that, you get the kill on topside, you rotate 4 down, and you ensure 6 grubs. And because the towers have not been taken on the other end against a siege, you're doing okay. Now a fight on Toomey.
Yeah, Rigor Mortis going in on the Toomey, but the mid lane turret was very close by. Now Rigor Mortis has to flash out. Seeker does not like their odds as well, but IBM's very low. Seeker's looking for the kill. Between Worlds is 4 too late. The living artillery will pick it up for Charlie. Glacial Visor down for Sun and Stars. Toomey looking for an angle. They drop the Glacial Prisoner onto Seeker. Teleport coming through for Infamous as well, but they've locked down Toomey with a great solar flare from Rigor Mortis. Here comes Infamous with 3 big kills. The front line stands up, and that Kog'Maw we may have feared is finally here to stay.
It looked bad, I'm not gonna lie. The collapse in from BCCT looked good. However, the strength, Charlie getting a beautiful read on where Toomey was gonna go, and not just that, it was IBM and no flash in there. And Toomey, Malstixi didn't have enough damage. Sun and Stars was lost in the sauce. Now they get maybe a consolation prize here. Oh, look at that shot. You're gonna take that trade. ADC for ADC.
Oh, Coffee Beans, the greed. You knew Ace in the Hole was up. You show on Vision that ult's coming across. So it does become a trade for Veer. Kill given over to Toomey, despite the fact that he has died 3 times, does still have what I believe is the biggest gold ejection for anybody on Big Chillers right now.
You're enjoying it. You are enjoying it, getting a little extra, and having this possible split push threat can bring a lot of power to the table. Of course, I'm still a little bit worried. Toomey's early game has me scared for how much they've actually played this champion. They don't seem to be willing to take proper trades, and it's led to not only a 3-1-1 scoreline for Charlie, but a nasty 40 CS lead as well. So even if Toomey got a good gold injection, how the next few rounds play is going to be very telling. And Sun and Stars now eating up a little bit of damage. A Seeker's like, there's no wall to really help out.
Nope, the wall's down. Heal SVU, Solar Flare, the stun combination coming through for Leona, but Sun and Stars is still able to kite back. Coffee Beans liking their odds on the turn, but still underpowered. Maybe not this underpowered though. Veer steps far too up, and he's gonna pay for it. The stun lock comes across. Coffee Beans gets 1. Rigor Mortis is desperately trying to find the trades. He'll finally arrive, but Sun and Stars make sure it's 2 kills into the pocket of Big Chillers before the trades can come out.
Don't stare too long at the Stars or the Sun at this point. Veer, what was that? You stepped away too far, and now fighting the mid lane.
Yeah, Charlie, though, does dodge the face shield. He dodges the Glacial Prison, but the stun lock comes across. Fancy feat to dodge the ultimate, so the shutdown still comes across from Malstixi.
Of course, that was a very angry engage. Keep in mind, Rigor Mortis already got first tower, and I think that's a big dub on the back end. I mean, that was a wild turn of events, by the way. You got first tower, yes, but you're wondering why Veer decided to step up. Maybe thought Wukong was going to be there a little bit faster. But because of that, you give over 2 kills that were vastly not necessary. And Coffee Beans, remember, you don't care if you're trading out. You just want kills. You want the CS. You want to stay in pace. And you already had the Essence Reaver ready to go mid lane as well. The heavy investment on Charlie. You're going to say, okay, that's kind of worth, because now we get Dragon behind it. Infamous are sitting in a, I would say, comfortable position to start sieging down in the mid game. This is where it's really important they rotate Veer as well as Charlie into the right positions.
And Veer and Charlie already slot in pretty well here. Charlie is actually looking to run right back down mid. Maybe they really want to threaten this mid tier 1, trying to catch a reset off for Malstixi. And it's just really hard for Toomey to even hold this wave. Sun and Stars can maybe delay it with his shield. Oh, maybe we just fight it out here. The living artillery is really showing its AP scaling damaged, and 2 marksmen means a very dead Braum and a very dead mid lane tier 1 turret.
that double stun as well. We mentioned that Leona is so dang strong right now. It's wild how much power you can get. Good body block coming out of Coffee Beans, but it still hurts that this is happening. As we mentioned, just this all-out throttling is what Infamous are going to look for. Of course, with Mouse 60 sitting off on the wayside, Coffee Beans is going to get a little bit more time. Can we get a little bit of a counter on Coffee Beans right now? We want to see where they're sitting at on those stacks. 112, not bad, I would say. You need a little bit more time though, and maybe a few more team fights to really branch into that 225.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit slower to be halfway at the smolder stacks, but I mean, it was a rough lane. Like, Caitlyn lanes are very, very annoying for many reasons. What is really intriguing me is Charlie. Obviously, we talked about this has to be something that a pick that Charlie is very confident on, this Kog'Maw mid lane. We're about to see it get jumped as Toomey has set up the Death Brush, and I caster curse Charlie here. He has the Seraph Shield and the Ghost, so he actually will slip out, but has to go for the reset. My point here, Orbital, was supposed to be, take a look at the build path coming in for this Kog'Maw.
It's just a burn build, and I actually really like this. It's the long range artillery. It's the annoyance of the poke. It'll match Coffee Beans range later on. I don't dislike it. Of course, it does make you fairly squishy and fairly simple to catch. So warding, vision, understanding of where Toomey can be, I think will be the mainstay issue that Charlie is going to run into.
Certainly, yeah. I'm not saying it was a bad build path. I just love how unique it is, right? Because this is the complete opposite ideal to Kog'Maw AD carry. Not gonna be a Kog'Maw here in the top side. It's just a jumping Sun and Stars. He's desperately trying to get towards IBM, but Braum is very hard to kill. Braum is Coffee Bean does not have enough damage, and maybe Sun and Stars is just gonna get Coffee Bean killed here as the Cyclone lockdown comes through and the bottom lane for Big Chillers drops together.
I was a little bit scared, but again, the focus on the bottom lane.
Yeah, they just don't want to let Charlie play the game. The Glacial Prison lockdown is enough, and Toomey doesn't even need the Fate Seal. Charlie will drop once more on the side lanes.
I mean, I don't dislike it, but you're losing, I think, a fair bit. Remember, every kill needs to be followed by something else. But take a look at what they're doing. The power on the top side and mid. This is Infamous getting away with a fairly hefty chunk of change. Batman is going to have a pretty healthy lead in the top side. Already 10 CS up. Should be able to gather this tower. And what are you going to lose? You're going to lose a tower and one? I wouldn't say that's that bad, quite honestly. So for Infamous, I think they're doing quite well. Next Dragon will be quite important, which is in 2 minutes. And you can start setting up that ward coverage if you wish.
Sorry, I just had to make the sound effects as he's taking Shelly for a ride just to try and rotate towards that mid lane. Not much to play for towards the mid side just yet here, especially if you are Big Chillers. Their real worry by this point is just making sure their vision stays with the light on, because when you lose mid tier 1 and tier 2, it becomes a much scarier jungle to go into at any point.
I mean, it's just darkness. It's just like, oh no, stuff is gonna go wrong, and that's gonna happen. Seeker, of course, taking out those pink wards and just ensuring that the vision control is kind of all over the place. Take a look at that warding as well. You can see that hefty ward line going down for BCCT. On the top side, though, you're gonna have to rotate all that here in a little bit. And I am very curious because IBM and Batman haven't, I would say, fully joined a lot of these fights. We haven't seen them really engage as much. They've been still isolated in the top half of the map. This coming up, though, we got TP and IBM, really big chance to break out that Aurora, show what can be done, and maybe turn the tides in their favor, start bridging the 6K lead that Infamous currently have.
This is exactly what I thought they were going to start doing with these mid-tier ones down. Who are the two champions that are easiest to catch with a Death Brush? It's Rigor Mortis with his Cyclone and his Clone, actually, in general. And Seeker can find that lockdown. Ace in the hole and Living Artillery can come right from over the walls, and that is going to be a dead, basically anybody on Big Chillers except for a maybe Sun and Stars. Rigor Mortis are looking to push that tempo through those pick potentials, but the fact they haven't found any does mean that the first turret, objective bounty turret, will go down here. IBM will pick that one up on the top side. What does the answer look like for Infamous?
It looks like Soul of an ocean of all things. If we're talking about the fact that the mid to late game is going to be very powerful in terms of having the likes of Coffee Beans and Toomey and IBM powering up towards that late game, best way to negate that, have an Ocean Soul. All of a sudden you force someone to detour into that heal cut into the Grievous. But is it really going to be enough? You take a look at Ocean Souls, it's just disgustingly strong. And with the Siege comp, Charlie and V are going to have plenty of time to proc that regen, to proc that HP back if you don't full send on top of them. Not only that, Rigor Mortis has started to be completely lethal. 305 Triforce as well as that Sunder Sky. It is piercing how much damage can be thrown down. That's why they're currently positioning for this Baron. And if they find a 1 or 2 pick, especially 1 pick on Malstixi, that can be the big game changer.
Game changer that they need to find a way back into this one, because it is certainly starting to slip out of their favor. And for Big Chiller's Corkis Tower, like we've mentioned at the top of the hour, if they can find a commanding series win here, they could be looking at a playoff bye, but Rigor Mortis is looking to ruin that by targeting IBM. The Cyclone, the Ace of the Hole, is far than enough damage to pick it up. Veer goes on a killing spree. The siege will continue for Rigor Mortis and company.
I mean, Batman's just like, I don't even care about you. Okay, now realizes that Tui's on the blue buff. And Tui's like, okay, maybe I can't deal with this one just yet. A little bit of a long range shot by Charlie just to kind of force them out. But look at this rotate and this collapse going in. Infamous have control right now. They know they're at their peak right now. They need to take advantage of it. And I like this call. Just keep baiting out this Baron. Maybe keep getting some kills.
Yeah, threatening the Baron, keeping the pit as dark as it can be for Big Chillers. See if anyone overextends here. They have the poke threat with the living artillery as well. I Am Charlie is up to his 2-item spike with that Leandries. Gets the extra burn and just the extra damage every time that living artillery lands.
It hurts. I'll be honest, when Kog'Maw mid was a thing, like what was it, like multiple seasons ago, it was so annoying to play against. The range was brutal. Once you hit level 16, you're basically firing from off screen. It is literally just Xerath all over again. Charlie is also a master at predictions. Once we get into these team fights, I want to mention this is one of Charlie's most played and most interesting picks out there. If you're not used to having that kind of fly out the handle, it can be problematic. We are taking a look at the stacks, by the way. We are so close to the execution, which is in perfect time for this Dragon and the Baron fights. And honestly, if you're taking a look at Infamous, they have to know that's coming. Coffee Beans is quite literally only 40 stacks off. That's what, 3 ways, 2 ways, maybe in a couple hits on champions. It's going to be a scary time. Coffee Beans has a chance to really turn the tides of this entire battle.
Yeah, Coffee Beans did a really good job rebounding. I mean, I think he was at 120 at 16 minutes, and then he got all the way up to near 210 by 24. So got the 2 items done as well as Pure Children Essence Reaver combo coming through. Coffee Beans will be very much so a scary online prospect as sooner rather than later. That's a very tanky Cassante Toomey is going blow for blow with, but it is a Kanix, so he doesn't have a ton of armor. But Toomey's going to miss the Fate Seal. Good dodge there from CV. Batman, who's looking to pop in and out of the shadows like Batman. But he might have Bane just break his back in the name of Toomey. The flash after him. Who's got the most damage? The shield from the W isn't enough. No, the Topo strikes back. Everyone's so low, but it's Toomey to barely win it and shut down the bat.
That was consecutively 4 miss skill shots coming out of the 2 that feel like they should never miss. What an ethereal form. At the last moment, Toomey had that up on the nick of time, was spamming that E button. Wild grass and Batman. I mean, you burned everything. You tried your hardest. You were even able to dodge that Fate Sealed. It was difficult, but I mean, you fought hard. Toomey and Batman at this point, that just leads to an understanding that these side lanes are not safe for either player. If they decide to all in, one can go. It's going to be a 50-50 just depending on who hits their strikes. And it's so dangerous. However, at the current moment, with that side lane understood, we are looking at this Dragon. 50 seconds left. Recall's coming out. And this is a late recall, in my opinion. You need to be here way earlier to contest because look at the amount of vision and information the rest of Infamous are going to have for this Soul Drake to play. Oh, are they going to give?
This is going to be the real... They can't give here. I would hope they don't give, because this could be the real spot for Big Chillers to try and play through their item power spikes. I got to think the Coffee Beans is... Yeah, he's at... This is execute threshold for Smolder. So if you want to open this game back up, here's where you got to do it, because Ocean Soul might just say Infamous win. And Big Chillers now know it, trying to step up into a very dark bot side river.
Yeah, and really you're just baiting for Charlie. All you want to do is get those tags, just like on Coffee Beans. Keep hitting those tags before the fights break out. and you can allow Veer to push in and just keep applying pressure. Remember, you're the ones with 3 drags. You're the ones that can force the rest of BCCT into dire straits. But you just need Charlie to land that poke, and the further that Sun eats that up, the worse it's going to be. I don't want to see them engage. I want to see BCCT engage, and I want to see Infamous bait them into a bad fight.
Well, Infamous are definitely going to bring the Bing Chillers in. They've started up this dragon, and it is burning quick. Mouse60 eyeing a steal angle. Flank angle coming across from Doomy. Here comes Mom going down. The trap lineup is set. It's absolute pandemonium as the Between Worlds comes across from IBM. But Charlie does stay up. The health bar is very low. Coffee Beans can't get close enough. It's just a melee fight on one side of the traps, and the other side is Rush Coffee Beans, who's desperately trying to kite back, but he's lost all of his teammates on the other side. I am Charlie with no mana left. The Bronze Stun is going to come across. Can Coffee Beans start to take over this fight? There's so many low health bars. When will the execute threshold come out? It's not there just yet. Coffee Beans has very little room to execute, and Charlie finds him with the living artillery. Down goes Smolder. Down goes Big Chillers. Ace over to Infamous.
That was wild to watch, and I said I wanted to see a rough fight baited out, and Infamous pulled that off. I want to point out the fact that Tsumi could have had a great angle to jump in, but the trap was laid so perfectly from Veer, stalling out the engage with it. Mouse60 had to fight on their own, and then because of the split, because Charlie had that range and Batman was running frontline, Coffee Beans had no way to chew through. Even though you have the execute threshold, you don't have that raw damage just yet. You don't have that strength to punish. And it just baited so much time, and that fight was an encapsulation of what is going to happen again, because now not only do you have to fight a healthy squad, Seeker, Rigor Mortis, Batman, all of them so tanky, you're dealing with an Ocean Soul. This fight over Baron is nothing. In my eyes, Mouse60, you're going to have to fight with a possible steal, and guaranteed you're going to lose your life for it.
In the extended trade, extended poke is going to be nothing into Infamous by this point, because the Ocean Soul will just top them right back off. Looks like the Scuttle was stolen away from Mouse60, so Baron is known to be being slammed down by Infamous now. But like you mentioned, Orbital, it feels like Mouse60 is just going to have to go for a steal angle. He does show on the top side of the river, so Infamous can track him. Here comes Mom down for a bit of damage. The trap lineup set up for Veer, but Coffee Beans does get around it. So does Soul and Stars. Mouse60 going in for the steal. He does not find it. It is secured and picked up by Rigor Mortis. Does the fight go the way of Big Chillers, though? There's a lot of health bars. Down goes Rigor Mortis. Here's the stack up. Coffee Beans gets his first reset. The all out from Batman is too late. He won't find the trade. And it's Infamous that now have to run for the hills. In Infamy, it's trying. Charlie and Seeker trying to kite back. Between Worlds from IBM will lock him into place. But maybe Charlie's the one to fear here as he looks for the turn. They lost Coffee Beans. That's all of Big Chiller's damage. And now IBM and Mouse60, they just don't have the health bars to try and stand up and fight. And Charlie is holding them with a chokehold. Seeker trying to find the angle. Zenith Blade won't land. And look at the healing coming across from that one Warmogs. Mouse60 is all the way up to full HP. And look what's getting taken in the mid lane here as well. It's Toomey and Sun and Stars. They're taking all these turrets because Seeker and I and Charlie, they just can't go for the resets. Mouse60 with his full health bar says, I don't mind staying here. You guys can hit me all you want. You're bleeding your base and you're not going to find the kill. Charlie's out of mana. Maybe we'll finally get a living artillery. Mouse60 finally drops off. Charlie goes on a rampage and the action finally slows down after a harrowing minute.
Wild stuff. I'm amazed you were keeping your breath there, Slayer. It was difficult. Veer got caught so early on in the fight. The burst was solid from the side of BCCT. The ensuing fight, though, Charlie's positioning has actually been rock solid. 7-3-3 so far, itemizing now on their fourth into that safety of the Veil. I really like this call. Of course, granted, you're watching this fight and it's just like, man, Charlie isn't really doing. No, Charlie's playing smart. You stay alive, you can bring that living artillery, and with the healing behind, with the presence of mind, plus the Ocean Soul, you are going to regenerate mana just as fast as the Warmog is going to regenerate HP. At the current moment, I am looking at Infamous. Don't force anything. You do not need to force as much as it feels like your comp is going to be on the backside, which I understand. You cannot force. Rigor Mortis needs to play safety, allow Charlie and Veer to keep trying to punish. You're going to have Elder up in about 3 minutes. That can be your win con to chew through Mouse60 and the rest of kind of those strengths, and even maybe catch Coffee Beans.
If they can catch Coffee Beans, they can end the game. That is the threshold we are certainly at, and I like the point you made there. Rigor Mortis, if you see an angle to go in, you could take it, but you don't need to commit all in for a fight because Ocean Soul will heal you guys back up to safety within a couple of seconds. Charlie up to 4 items on this Kog'Maw. Looking to swing back towards the spot side as the tier 2 turret is under threat and soon to fall. Big Chillers look for a fight though. Mom dropped down a bit early there from Coffee Beans. Doesn't really hit any major targets. Glacial Fisher down. They're putting all their damage into the tank front line. And maybe it gives Infamous an angle in. Toomey just now arriving. But there's no real flank angle. The two big engage ultimates are already off the board. I don't see how the Big Chillers even find an engage here.
I mean, it's a little bit dangerous, and I don't think they can either. However, you're baiting off the fact that Toomey actually hasn't really been spotted right now. The reason that Charlie threw out one of those Qs into the fog of war is they don't actually vision, but however, the Living Artillery is baiting it out, and you just spotted the fact that IBM is very, very low. This Aurora that we mentioned, I told you, it's either really good or really bad, and right now it feels on that lesser side, but big damage coming out of Coffee Beans right now, being able to stall this out.
Yeah, this bot side is defined by premature ultimate usage. Rigor Mortis blows Cyclone. I mean, you knock up Sun and Stars. These tanks will lead up these ultimates all game long. So I think now everybody's stalled out. There's no Baron buff left here for Infamous as well. So they'll look to take their reset, and feels like everybody's just going to play up for a good old classic game show edition of Elder Flip.
That terrifies me, Slayer, because I've worked in the entire game hyping up the fact that Infamous have played this early mid siege comp very, very well, and they have, but we've reached the point where I mentioned if you're the side of BCCT, you just need to get to the late game in good fashion, and they've reached it. Coffee Beans is outputting damage. Here's my thing: we've yet to see IBM really become that Aurora scary carry. 2.5 items is not enough to really stay alive, and also DPS down. You are pretty much bait. You're locking them down for Coffee Beans to be able to fight out. That is what you're currently looking at. So with the dragon coming up, I'm really keeping eyes on where those wards are, if there are any backline wards or anything like that. And also Batman running towards the top side, you better be ready to TP on the drop of a hat, because this can be dangerous. Flank Eagle on the bot side and bottom try. That's about it. Other than that, it's a straight 5v5.
And Batman doesn't want to mess around. He's just going to teleport now. He knows the wave state is in the right place. No teleports needed for IBM and Toomey. They have already arrived. And we may be arriving to the end of game one very soon here. Elder about 12 seconds away. Poke being established there by Coffee Beans. There's the Glacial Prison. It is Batman to eat it up. Very tanky target. Mom committed as well. The flank coming down for the Cyclone. And they pull out onto Mouse 60 as well. And that gives an option. Coffee Beans goes down. Batman's all out, gets him close enough. Toomey falls flat on his engage. And Infamous are not living in infamy any longer. They're going to smash down this fight and send themselves to a 1-0 lead. IBM's Between Worlds is only stalling the inevitable. Charlie's Kog'Maw, Veer's Caitlyn, the Wukong. It all comes online for Infamous, and it's put them in a big time spot in this series, as a couple turrets is the only thing that should stand between them and a game one win.
I mean, that was a wild turn. I mentioned that if you catch it, and you said it as well, just straight up, if you catch Coffee Beans, it's over. IBM, who is sitting at 0-4 and 5, has to make some sort of hero play, but you got no ult.
No ult, Invis down, and that health bar just got deleted with the snap of the fingers. Nexus turret's down. Infamous 1-0 up, looking to spoil the bye playoff start for the Big Chillers Corky Towers.
That was just destructive. That was rude. I don't really have any other words for it. It was, again, rough decision making at the start, a little bit of 50-50 fights going the wrong way for BCCT, and then Infamous kind of latching on to that strength and saying, okay, listen, you're looking at Mouse 60, not bringing a whole lot to the table right now, not ganking as much. We have pretty much all winning lanes, except mid is a little 50-50. We can push, and I want to mention Veer holding it down on the bot side. This Caitlyn that we mentioned may not be the right play in this current iteration, though, was able to power through Coffee Beans and Sun and Stars, and was able to output about, a decent chunk of the early game. Very, very well done there. But quite honestly, Charlie's Kog'Maw has a reason to be feared now.
Yeah, so now it's known. Charlie's Kog'Maw. We'll see if there's a ban for it. Maybe just an adjusted game plan. But I don't think a game plan adjustment is the problem, because Sejuani jungle, a Yone mid lane matchup, Charlie should have been in the dirt in this early game, and it just wasn't the fact. And I gotta give you credit, Orbital. Your Aurora take still holds up here. IBM was a ghost in this game one on that B1 Aurora champion. So it is the Big Chillers that are on the back foot. They're going to have to find some sort of strategy switch up. They'll have side selection available to them, mostly everything available to them in this draft to try and bounce back. We'll see how they look, because a 2-1 victory for them could potentially mean a playoff bye. An 0-2 loss to Infamous may just shake up this entire playoff bracket. We'll find out one of those two realities once we get back from another short intermission. Welcome back to ADL Qualifiers, week number 2. We are right before the playoffs starting off, and these two teams, Big Chillers, Corkis Tower, and Infamous, looking to try and set themselves up for an easier playoff path. After a Game 1 win for Infamous, they're feeling pretty good, but Big Chillers, all I see is a Kog'Maw ban. They've passed the first test.
Second test was grabbing Ashe. This is a champion that I will always say I swear by. Honestly, it's just everyone knows how strong it is, but the damage specifically is so sneaky. And right now you have to be worried about that Braum situation. Braum Ashe, especially if you're going for a little bit more high damage output ADC, is a very scary combination. So for Infamous, I would 100% say grab that Braum, take it away from the Ashe. Don't allow that safety, or just keep going the Leona. I'm not sure if the Caitlyn is actually going to work this time. I think you need to go a little bit more high prio instead of you're not going to get the best lane like you had last time. You're not going to see that Smolder, of course, be that kind of safe lane backline. You're going to be dueled out. So I do want to see Infamous grab a little bit stronger ADC power. Know that you're going up against a pretty hefty bot lane and work your way around it and see how it goes. Of course, the other side is obviously I think BCCT learned their lesson. I don't expect to see a Yone come out or an Aurora for that. They're still leaning towards that Caitlyn. Wow.
Yeah, Veer must feel really comfortable on Caitlyn, which, I mean, that can make sense. It's not a broken bottom lane. So you could use the argument, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I do think your point holds up really well here, Orbital, that it is infinitely less passive a lane whenever you don't have to go into a Smolder. Like Aphelios is maybe a little bit similar, but Ashe is a completely different lane. It's a completely different bottom lane coming across for Big Chillers. They'll go Ashe and Alistar. Very good counter to the Leona coming across.
Yeah, and a little bit more engage potential. The Braum is going to have such a difficult time getting close. I mean, you're burning Flash and maybe going for the Glacial Fissure. Alistar, much simpler. Headbutt Pulverize. That's all you're doing over and over again. Caitlyn's not going to enjoy that one. I'm not sure if I would want to see the Sejuani. However, I always err in the side of CC every single time. I love CC to death. I think the Sejuani had its moments if it was granted some time. I like this call though, going for a blind pick top lane, and we said, you know, no Aurora this time around. Go with that safe, but you leave it open and it's going to be picked up. So Cassante Gwen, something that was banned out last time, now making its return.
Exactly, that was going to be my point. Stevie Batman was targeted with the second phase bans. His Gwen and Camille were taken away. So now you get to pick up that Gwen into a farewell matchup against Cassante. We'll see how that one goes. Interesting to still see an Urgot ban. Actually, Orbital, was it us that did an Urgot? I think we did see an Urgot jungle game. So I guess maybe more than one team is playing it.
I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about an Urgot jungle of all things. That's terrifying. Now this I'm surprised about. Again, Toomey looked heavily uncomfortable on the Yone. The Yone to me just did not work out, and I think this does force down a much more control heavy mid laner once again. With the RA ban, this is still targeted at mid. Charlie still not having that kind of ability to scrap and make setup plays. But BCCT, I don't want to see that heavy fight. I want to see Toomey come out with some nice control. I mean, if you're looking at a Syndra maybe to set up the rest of the squad, we know that it takes a lot of power out of the mid lane. But Syndra is still a great setup mid lane. Very, very powerful given the opportunity. And especially if you're looking at a Vigar on the other side, it's like, go for that CC, set up the rest of your team, allow the rest of your team to collapse around that event horizon.
Who is this Charlie guy, man? Is he like hit his head in the chocolate factory or something and he plays like wacko champions now? Vigar and Kog'Maw mid. That is a interesting champ pool.
Hey, listen, I don't see smack talking my boy over here, okay? Don't smack talk my boy. My boy is so good right now. Listen, he's even got the B-Mancy coming in. I love it. Is that Smolder mid? Okay, yes. Well, you know, screw that. We won't worry about that one. Smolder mid right now, I don't understand this, but it does lead into the fact that you're not going hyper aggressive. It is the scaling factor. You're going to play a lot more safe. CC, bring the Sejuani back out. I don't care if it doesn't feel like it fits. Bring the Sejuani, get some safety in there.
Sejuani, if you want to try and lock them, I actually think Jarvan's kind of into this comp. But Morgana jungle, hey, that's CC. I mean, that's a lot of lockdown, some Flash Zanyas, you know, Dark Bindings, Soul Siphon, whatever the ultimate's called. Morgana has a lot of CC in her kit. And also, you know, now you've got a free cleanse for the Smolder whenever you throw that black shield onto him. So I get this pick a lot. There's just obviously some glaring shortcomings with picking Morgana jungle that can come around.
And there's going to be some fun there. There's going to be some fun if that Nocturne is locked in. This is a power play. So the difference in where the power is going, or where that spear point is actually headed, Infamous is looking pretty much all lanes except for top lane is a setup for the Nocturne. I mean, this is Rigor Mortis being gifted the silver platter. It's like, pick your lane, have fun with it, and we will try and help you out as much as possible. We're going to support you. We're going to let you carry, because outside of the Cassante and Alistar, these are squishy laners. The Ashe and the Smolder, prime getting material if the Morgana is not there, or if you want to fight the Morgana, you catch them off guard without their Q or without their E, boom, you get a kill. So little things like this, I'm very, very curious. If Infamous are allowed to have their way like they had in game number 1, I can only assume that Infamous are going to have a great game number 2.
Well, that's the hope. If you are an Infamous fan, I am always a fan of going the distance in series because that makes for more fun storylines. So I'm hoping this Smolder works out the second time instead of in Coffee Bean's hands, coming back towards Toomey in the mid lane. Big time pick to go back towards that Smolder. Double marksman, you know, we talk about how powerful that can be. It's got to be pretty powerful here for Big Chiller's Corkis Towers, because if they do not come up with a game win here, they can kiss a playoff bye goodbye, and maybe a less favorable matchup when we get to next week to start the postseason. We will get over to Summoner's Rift after another short intermission. Big Chiller's Corkis Towers versus Infamous coming your guys' way shortly. Game number 2 is alive and in full view here from Summoner's Rift. Same sides, Bing Chillers, Corkis, Towers on the blue side, Infamous on your red side, and Charlie once again in the spotlight. At least he's going for my Irish heritage here, rocking the best Vigar skin out there.
We ain't playing that game today. You disrespected my man once. Listen, it is either Bad Santa Vigar or it is Fury Horn. Those are the only 2 acceptable answers.
I'm gonna be honest with you, the only Vigar skin I own is that one, because
that's actually fair.
Yeah, I mean, for my tall, my old ginger self, yeah, I gotta rock with that. But Charlie, you know, we talk about standouts. I remember the last ADL split. He's still playing. I'm sure we're gonna see him later, considering he's the top player for the undefeated team in the league. And Inigo Montoya was a big time player for his unique ability to just wreck everybody on the Tom Kench. I think unique champ pools are always a fun thing to see in a league like ADL, and Charlie's Cogmo is very fun. Let's see what we can get done on the Vigar.
I mean, you take a look at how defensive I feel like, because we mentioned the Morgana coming out in the jungle, and it feels like you basically took a look on the other side, come down to that draft side, and you were like, I don't know, we don't like the Vigar, we don't like the Leona, we don't like anything. Let's go ahead and throw a Morgana in there, because it's just like, you don't have that much strength in the mid lane. So at this point, you are banking once again on the late game. You are banking on reaching that late game in good position. You are banking on having a strong ADC setup for that Morgana to play off of. I mean, we talk about Morgana having power in the clear speed, yes, but in raw power output, it's not as great as you would think. So that's what I'm really curious about, watching Stixie having that fun, or if Rigor Mortis is going to have a better time with their full clears.
We'll see. They're clearing on opposite sides. Maybe try and set up for potential early ganks. Now, Stixie certainly can look for them pretty early and often. Does, like you mentioned, though, require a bit of extra setup. You're relying on a Dark Binding landing is the real gotcha factor in those ganks. Level 2, though, push comes across for Veer and Seeker in their same bottom lane. And CB Batman on the other side of the Cassante matchup. We are very also excited. I think we're just both intrigued by both solo lanes here for Infamous in this game too.
I mean, they have a tendency to kind of play either neutral or aggressive, one or the other. And Batman was the one that surprised me the most. Another aggressive stance, even though the Cassante was willing to step up and battle at every turn. This time around, got that counter pick and said the Gwen is the one that I want to go for. You're not going to ban him out this time. So for Batman, I want to see if they can take over in a solo aspect style. If they can take over in a 1v1, draw that into a 1v2, and all of a sudden IBM is still in that dangerous spot of I am useless, dangerously low, of course, but Batman with the ghost is going to be pretty obvious if you decide to jump forward.
Well, unless you knock him into you. Yeah, I mean, good trade, but your health bar comes out just as stuck as before. Wonder how aggressive CB Batman might get, knowing that he does have the hover of Rigor Mortis if he wants to go for any of these extended trades. Now, Stixie is on the exact opposite side of the map, maybe waiting for a Leona engage, but man, those scissors are starting to hurt. There's the dash forward. Doesn't seem like IBM will die, though. Gets a good shield and will be able to get out, trading that ghost away from CB Batman.
Yeah, but take a look at the CS differential right now. It is a disgusting lead for Batman. Even with the sour shot, I'm still sitting there going, yeah, this is a perfect time. Batman is having an enormously fun time. And you know you get to play for free as long as you mentioned Rigor Mortis is a good spot, but this is a danger.
Yeah, but IBM has flash. This is a free kill. The classic overstay burns the entire lead that you were just hyping up, Orbital.
Yep. Man, I'm going to eat my words mid lane.
All right. No flash used by Toomey. Just waits out the cage. And that W not landing is the real juice of the damage early for Vigar, so they'll be able to sneak on out.
And it feels good for Toomey. You didn't burn the flash or teleport just yet. Bot side, though, we're seeing a little bit of difference. What a ride.
Wow, what a headbutt as well. Seeker's thrown further down the lane. Both supports flash after each other with Ignite channeled. Veer will get stunned up. Going to pop the barrier flash forward. He's going to try and secure this kill. He'll get it. But Coffee Beans will easily trade this one back here. The level up does not matter. This time, support for AD carry and a kill advantage over to the Bing Chillers. And maybe a 2v2 top jungle duo matchup might push the lead even further. Now Stixie and IBM trying to chase down CB Batman. Rigor Mortis does get to the safety of the Tri-Brush. It's a flash dark binding, and that's going to secure another kill. Down goes the Gwen for a second time.
Not only that, second time in less than a minute. I want to point that out. That's going to be the day. Oh, whoa!
Oh, Scorch, baby, gets the job done for Charlie.
Scorch plus Comet equals death. Beautiful job there. And Charlie, because topside's not going the right way that they want, it's Charlie to try and pick up that slack. We're going to see that raw damage come out. Most likely the Luden's Companion, I think, is what a lot of people are currently running. But here's the thing. Topside Batman has had one of the worst starts they've seen in this series. Topside, you know, the Cassante was able to stay even against the Aurora. This time around, though, you not only lost out in the CS differential with the experience, but I mean, that's all you really have going for you. So it's going to be a huge gambit if Batman can come back into this game. And if they need Rigor Mortis to help out, who is still trying to power farm to level 6, was actually countered by Mal 60 on that top side. So a little bit more dangerous in that affair.
A little more dangerous indeed. And Rigor Mortis, it won't get easier for him as Mal 60 once again catches him going for those grubs. Has the flash available, looking for the turn, but it's IBM that has the first roam. No spell shield up for Rigor Mortis. He's going to flash over the wall, and lucky for him, IBM and Mal 60 have already burned both their flashes earlier. But it does mean the first 3 grubs majorly go over to Big Chillers.
And you'll like that. Once again, having that kind of turn. Last time around, they gave up the dragons, but in this turn, you're not even touching that dragon just yet. You're going to hold off for a while, and we'll see if the Nocturne is able to kind of counter in that aspect. However, you're looking on the top side. What a binding, though, by Stixie. Just Charlie is going to get punished once again for playing this immobile champion. And until Rigor Mortis decides, or once Rigor Mortis hits 6, you can start influence the rest of the lanes. And then we're going to see that true power, that siege and slaughter style that I think Infamous really want to play.
We'll have to wait and see. Rigor Mortis is still not got that paranoia online. And that will maybe really open up the rest of the game here. But Batman is feeling the woes of the 0-2 start. All out comes across. Needlework answer is not enough. That healing is nowhere near online. And IBM's got his solo kill.
I mean, you had to see that one coming. IBM was setting that one up to perfection, really understanding that that was going to go down. Now, Toomey in a dangerous spot, just playing that edge as much as possible. Got to get away with a decent amount of HP. IBM, though, getting a full turnaround this time around. Last time, remember, was 0-5-5 at the end of the game. 2-0-1, already doubling the amount of kills that they got in game 1.
Feeling very nice. Toomey done a really good job recognizing how to play into Vigar, though. Never getting stunned up by those event horizons. Problem is with taking those trades going forward is I'm Charlie now has the gamer button available. So if either of them get low, it's going to be Charlie winning with that classic primordial burst.
Man, that's just dangerous. Oh. What an arrow to land.
Yep, here's a CC burst coming out from Stixie and Coffee Beans. Veer didn't have a chance to play the game. The arrow into the dark binding is the CC lockdown that surely made Orbital smile. And maybe Charlie makes him smile even further as a Vigar lover, as Toomey does get solo killed by the primordial burst.
It's like game 2 all over again. It's a little bit dangerous factor, but here's the big difference. It's only Charlie really getting that lead. And the fact that Veer opted for that, opted for the barrier instead, I understand you're far enough away. You shouldn't be too worried about a CC chain, but you're already seeing that it can come down. A little bit of a ping, though. Rigor Mortis wants to try and challenge here. Maybe he can get something done, and Charlie's going to help out at level 8.
Paranoia available. Now Stixie does have the soul shackles. they're gonna sadly give away the dragon here, knowing the resets are first over to the side of Infamous. Dark Binding doesn't even connect. No risk of a steal, and a gifted dragon given back over to the side of Infamous.
And you like that all day, every day. Remember, you don't want to give both objectives over. That's all it really is about. And so for right now, you grab that one up. It is going to be, I want to say it's going to be a Chemtech Dragon next. I wasn't able to catch it right away, but it's Hextech, you know, 50-50 on the dot. But
yeah, you would think Orbital that for how long Chemtech and Hextech Drakes have been around, that their logos would be fixed in the spectator.
Right, I was about to say. It makes my job that much harder, man. It sucks.
Oh, well, look whose job's getting real hard. It's Toomey. Paranoia jumped in. He does have a Valiant Cow next to him, but the damage is too much. Sudden Stars could not save him. Good dodge on the Dark Binding as well. Now 60 can't get close enough for a regank. And Toomey's starting to feel the very lane pressure that he was dishing out last game. Hello, that's an arrow down for Coffee Beans. He think he's got enough damage to just kill off Veer on his own. He certainly does, and Veer just net shots his way to safety.
I mean, I think Coffee Bean is just trying to get a little bit of an edge, knows that this is some of the best time to kind of bully their way out, especially since they don't have boots. That arrow is their best form of get lane dominance. And now Veer is in that spot of crap. Well, my HP needs to heal up. Of course, this turnaround could be big.
Yeah, and there's the Leona lockdown we know and love from Seeker. Flash out from Coffee Beans, but the health bars are very low. Sudden Stars does not have Unbreakable Will. So it's much easier to put beef on the menu, and Seeker's looking for his Season Blade down, lands on top of Coffee Beans. Veer gets his revenge kill, trying to get enough damage for maybe an ace in the hole. Executes. Southern Stars goes for the headbutt, but he's out of turret range, and ace in the hole finds its mark. A double kill down for Veer. But the action continues to roll on. Yep, Rigor Mortis is looking for a gank to try and get his top laner back into the game, and he will kill back to Rigor Mortis. CB Batman helps out with that one. Mouse 62 late, and like we talked about, you missed the Dark Binding. What more can the Morgana do?
I'm not even worried about the top lane. IBM just not stepping to the right tune and got owned just as hard as Australia did. It was not the right move to break out here, and now you're in a dangerous position as well because you've given over these grubs, and that can give a huge influx of gold for Infamous TP to try and negate that.
Yeah, IBM does have the all-out. L60 has the Soul Shackles. Rigor Mortis, for the second time this game, has to flash out of the grub pit. But he does take away 2, so we are going to end up even. Nobody getting mites.
I think that's the best that you could really want for, and now it's Charlie to be like, ah, crap, okay, you're going to be annoying. However, for Charlie, you're perfectly fine. You already got your first item. You're just worried about Mouse 60 coming in.
Oh my
That's
God.
good binding, but oh, man.
Yep, the Soul Shackles. Here comes the stun lockdown. Morgana does not let you play the game if she hits her spells. Charlie goes for the flash. She's going to live. How does Charlie get out? What? Oh my God! Oh, Coffee Beats snipes halfway across the map to end the chaos. Hold on, maybe we didn't end the chaos. That's an all-out from a very low health IBM. CB Batman picks up the kill. We're just going all gas, no brakes right now.
I love it. I was about to say the skin was what got him the win there, but man, that arrow was unlucky as all heck. This is gonna be a binding though, but a stun to come out. Mouse 60?
Yeah. Black Shield.
I didn't call it.
Into Leona.
Do it, Rigor Mortis.
Rigor Mortis does have the paranoia. Sun and Stars did have Unbreakable Will though, so maybe that assuaged the dive.
Yeah, but we got to go over what just occurred. We know the circus just rolled into town, but honestly, the expectations have turned now. You take a look at the gold, it's now leaning into Infamous. They have gotten that lead, and top side specifically is a big turnaround. You take a look at the itemization. Remember, IBM had a full Negatron cloak over the Gwen. Now CB Batman is able to go back, go ahead and pick up that Rift Maker. You now have an item over instead on IBM. And now you can power through. That 25-26 CS lead is going to continue, and Charlie is just ramping up in damage, is even allowed to pick up the Merc Treads instead of anything else, instead of those Sork Shoes or anything like that, which now means Mouse 60 is going to have such a problem trying to gank that mid lane even more. And it means Toomey is not going to get as much value out of that queue early on as much as you would like. You can take a look at the gold, 700 in that mid lane. Top side, of course, going pretty much net even considering the bullying that occurred with the 3 kills. And in the jungle, was seeing 100 in favor of Rigor Mortis. Bot side is also fairly even. So every lane swinging in favor of the side of Infamous leads this next dragon to be very, very scary. And if we can read it right, I mean, that paranoia is going to be so big. Rigor Mortis has a chance to flip this game even further in the ways of Infamous instead of BCCT.
15 seconds until that Hextech Drake does spawn. Teleport not available for either top laner, so it'll be a 4 versus 4 if we start slugging out in the darkness, like you're mentioning, Orbital with that paranoia available. Now Stixie is hovering on the bot side. Toomey, though, he's gonna get stunned up by the Event Horizon. Here comes the burst. See ya later, Toomey. The full might of Igar reimagined.
We mentioned that this Smolder mid was just a weird pick, in my opinion, and it's just not showing up. It needed so much help to get it over the early humps, and though you're not chugging as much as you would like, I mean, it's only going to get worse as well for Toomey because you can't flash away from that. There's not really much you got to do, and if you are going to flash, you basically flash as soon as the Event Horizon goes down. It's just not a pretty moment for them. Dragon goes the way of Infamous, and Charlie is free to take control of any lane they so wish to go for. And there's a call down. Such a clean catch.
The Black Shield wasn't casted in time. You could have walked right out of the Event Horizon, but instead it's Rigor Mortis going on a killing spree.
there ain't no stopping this at this point. Really, BCCT, they ain't chilling. There is no chill right now. You are in dire straits here in this game.
Maybe we can get a Smolder stack check. Maybe provide some sort of silver lining.
Yeah.
120 at 15. I mean, that's a little bit faster than Coffee Beans last game. There you go.
I think that's actually the exact same because, yeah,
right
157.
The Vigar is outstacking the Smolder.
GG's.
I mean,
go next.
I mean, honestly, it was expected to happen, but still,
right.
At this point, Charlie, if the stuns come across, can kill. I fear that he might be able to kill anybody that isn't Sun and Stars ulting. Oh my god! You like that haircut, CB Batman?
You know, Rigor Mortis was pinging that as well. Like, knew it was coming and stepped away, and then Batman was just like, ah, no, I'm Batman. Don't worry. Oh gosh, yeah, I'm Batman. No worries. Very, very dangerous. And Batman, for their own right, is the only one that's really in that rust spot. Went 0-3 in the early game. And yes, your team's being able to rally around, but you still have to worry about feeding IBM. This is going to be the big call down, though. TP to come in. Herald is going to go the way of BCCT, and they're going to try and use that to get this bounty gold once again that they have to contend with. It is disastrous to say that that is what they're actually looking for with the Herald.
Like that recognition, though. IBM teleporting down. Hold on. Soul Shackles coming through for Rigor Mortis. They got now Stixie, and yeah, it just doesn't matter at all. Charlie very low, though. Coffee Beans will fight trade. He'll be able to flash away to safety. Ace Gold does not have enough damage. CB Batman or Veer have to come in and be the main damage dealers, and Veer is certainly answering the call. Zenith Blade through under turret for Seeker. They're diving all the way through. All the kills over to Infamous. Rigor Mortis will be able to flash out of turret aggro. It's highway robbery in the name of 3. Infamous pick it all up.
That was the longest Caitlyn auto I've seen without a rapid fire cannon, by the way. That was a wild one. From mid of mid to under the tower, you get that less headshot, and you are now 5-2-0. You are a siege machine. And you don't even have a full item yet. That's the scary part. You're running that lethality build just for that headshot and for that ace in the hole. You are destructive, to say the least. And right now, IBM needs to get there earlier. You are a main chunk of your team's force. You need to be there to join in, bring that front line, because Mouse 60 is getting blown up left, right, and center. At this point, you're looking at BCCT and going, we got to start grouping. We hate to say it, but we got to start grouping if we want to make use of our champions.
Sorry, Orbital, I didn't mean to laugh at your amazing point there. I just watched Veer go from a BF sword and a dagger to collector, BF sword, and pickaxe in one back. That is an absurd amount of gold.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they were sitting on it for a while. They had farmed up all the way up, I think, bot side into tower, got half tower, and then went straight mid afterwards. I don't think they backed at all then, so it's just a huge gold dump in. And Veer's like, yo, watch this. Coffee Beans waiting for that crystal arrow, though, and Seeker has to know this is coming.
Oh, great flash. Hands check, pass by Veer. I mean, it's never good to lose your flash, but it's always nice to know that you've got the reaction time on lock.
Mm-hmm. Of course, Batman is on the other side, and this Gwen is starting to roll out the red carpet for just about anyone. And then you take a look at Charlie. Charlie's just like, la-di-da-di-da. Oh, Toomey, hey, you don't want to be here, bro. Like, you have no flash. And Rigor Mortis, you know, is happy to sit around this event horizon. So, I mean, this is going to be that big chance, but what a catch.
Oh, yeah, they catch Coffee Beans. He's already nearly dead, but it is a 3 versus 2. Now a 2 versus 2. The Soul Shackle's locked out, but here goes Rigor Mortis from the darkness. Veer stands up tall. All of the infamous triple team coming across, making a triple kill for Veer.
All right, listen, Veer's making me eat my words left, right, and center. I am revering them as the Caitlyn god in this series. 8-2-0. Early kills don't matter. You have gotten your rightful revenge, and that puts 3 mega threats on the table. The 1-3-1 with a Vigar, by the way, on the side is not out of the question. You are allowed to do this. And of course, with just a few seconds left to go, you can go ahead and look at this dragon and once again put yourselves on soul point. And would you know it, for a squishy comp that only has 1 true tank in the Leona, you are granted the possibility of life. Of course, Veer is going to die here, but you know, small things.
Yeah, once I saw the back get canceled and Coffee Beans had arrow up, I knew that was going to be a kill. That is 1,000 gold into Coffee Beans' hands.
Ooh. I mean, with the rest of it, I'm very curious to see how this goes down. Charlie and the rest of the squad, though, I mean, I think you bait over towards this dragon as much as possible, and you just look for a 4v4 because really, Veer is a good carry. Charlie is the main one.
Charlie is the main carry. We'll see how he can show it. Put the carry pants on. There's Rigor Mortis forward. Event Horizon gonna come down. Gonna stun up Toomey and company. Lock Sun and Stars into it. They burn through the first tank. IBM finally able to go back in, but Mouse, Stixie, Toomey, and Coffee Beans are all far too low. IBM will find the first trade in the all-out form. Can he get more? It's a big Q3 knockback. Rigor Mortis very low. There's Charlie cut down as well. We were waiting for IBM to step into the team fight Thunderdome, and boy, did he pick a time to show up. It's 4 kills back for Big Chillers.
It's big, but you have to be worried. Veer is now back on the map, and you can do a lot of destructive damage here. IBM, though, is going to run interference, and they're able to grab this dragon. So huge dub coming out for BCCT. Well needed, well deserved. The gold lead is still very dangerous. You need about 2 or 3 more fights like that one if you want to come into this game. That's what I'm going to be watching for very, very quickly. Oh, no, Veer. Oh, no.
Veer. Yep. Welcome to Cassante. I've got 3 ways to stun you up and 4 ways to make sure you don't do damage to me. Bye-bye, Veer.
Straight back to the respawn point. And, you know, this is, it's looking a little bit better. Definitely better than game number 1 in terms of how quickly they're turning it around. The bullying is working, and you can see the proactivity ticking in BCCT's mind. They're sitting there going, okay, we got a kill on the Caitlyn. What more can we do? We have the proactive tools that we had talked about, you know, waiting for that timer to come online. The main one I'm still waiting for is Toomey. Toomey is sitting at 0-5 and 4. It needs those stacks completed to be able to become a monster and really follow up behind Coffee Beans and Mouse Stixie, because you have to know that the side of Infamous is not going to be willing to just kind of let themselves get picked off. We're going to see the items come through. We're going to see a lot more safety come through for the carries. You draft. Okay, I say that, and then the arrow comes out.
Yeah, they've got Charlie. Merc treads, make sure the stun doesn't last too long.
That's a solar flare.
Behind. That's a huge solar flare. Seeker stuns up 3. Charlie stays safe, but CB Batman goes in on his own. He's going to get cut down. IBM's way more tanky than the Gwen, so he stands up to the might of Infamous. Seeker, though, is going to get dragged all out, but did IBM go too far without his own team? Paranoia, make sure everybody goes dark. Big headshot comes across for Veer. Mouse Stixie couldn't even see it coming. And evens it out at 4-man apiece. Both teams are still looking for their poke war here. They know Baron's right over the wall, and they want to grab it to get their lead going. But it's the Big Chillers going forward. Double headbutt pulverized down for Sun and Stars, but he's alone, and Charlie just pops it with the Primordial Burst, and Seekers has found the Zenith Blade in. IBM is not as tanky anymore. His health bar 4 too low, and Fears is more than healthy. Ace in the hole. See ya later, IBM. 1 down. It's the 2 marksmen desperately trying to kite back, but they certainly got enough damage. Does Rick Morris win his 1 versus 1? No, the cleanse comes through, but he can't cleanse the Zenith Blade. Seeker gets another, and it's just Veer's show. It's Veer's world, and we're all living in it. Except his world maybe has him hit that net shot over the wall. Toomey's now just waiting, trying to see if his cooldowns will come back up, and he'll be the only one to survive that extended fight.
Wild stuff, and honestly, it was the Event Horizon that turned it around. You could see everyone going, hey, Sun and Stars was able to catch out on the secondary. That fight, excuse me, at the start, beautiful. Well done by the side of BCCT. They were able to find these catches, and again, the Crystal Arrow is the linchpin to the entire squad right now. Get the Crystal Arrow, land it on someone priority, and you get the kill. From there, though, they are trying to extend these fights, and I don't think they're able to. That Event Horizon is being a giant pain in the butt. It fully sectioned off Sun and Stars, and you have to know that's coming out here. Sun and Stars, you are going to constantly put yourself in a dire strait if you're aiming for Charlie, who now has that Banshee's Veil ready to go. In this upcoming situation, in this upcoming Baron, I can only assume that Dark Binding is not going to land as easily, and the Paranoia and everything like that, you are going to lose vision so quickly for BCCT.
Charlie, you're very, very happy you built Banshee's Veil right there. Not many squishy, I mean, mages live face checking a Cassante, but it does give the river control back over to Infamous, and yeah, they're going to start up this Baron, likely wanting to bait in a fight here. Teleport having to come across for Toomey to join in, but they are getting really hurt by this Baron. They're just going to fake it.
I mean, I don't like the positioning, and now a possible catch.
Yep, Mom. There's the Event Horizon down from Charlie. It's holding them all at bay once more. But they're going to drop it down. Ace in the hole having to be cleansed. Here comes Rigor Mortis with the Paranoia. They're going right for the Smolder. Toomey's down. Rigor Mortis will fall, but can the rest of the fight be carried? The CC is too much to hold. Charlie and Veer get it done once again. The CC lock through. The Ace comes through for Infamous, who are looking to punch a 2-0 ticket into playoffs.
You know what? All hands to Charlie and Rigor Mortis. I pointed out that these two tend to be that big playmaking potential, and that was it. Rigor Mortis did what everyone wishes their Nocturne does. Even though you build damage, you know you got to sacrifice yourself for the team. You went straight to the back lane, deleted Yumi, and then that allowed Seeker to find the perfect polar player. Coffee Beans was max health, had everything up, but couldn't use it. No crystal arrow to come out. And that fight slaughtered them because the Baron is now on fight perfectly, mind you, which was very different than getting game number 1. This dragon threat, you are praying and thanking the miracle of that early fight that this is not sole point that you have to fight for next.
Well said, because that's another fight that they walk into and maybe lose. Partially because by this point, one of the things I talked about that I fear with Caitlyn is the mid game. You're powerful early, you're powerful late. We've kind of expedited that process. The scary part. Veer is 3 items with a QSS. I mean, he can just one-tap so many people from so far away in this stage of his build.
And that's what you're hoping to do right now. Really, the main reason is because you can take a look at Charlie. Charlie didn't build any MR Shred. However, this catch is big.
Yep, they've caught on to Rigor Mortis. There's no paranoia available. But look at the damage Charlie does over the wall. Coffee Beans is going to limp out of it. The Solar Flare, Black Shield takes it, or Coffee Beans might die. But keep in mind, Infamous looks shot in this fight. It's because their Gwen is on the side lanes, barreling down into the base. This inhibitor turret is as good as gone. The inhibitor is going to be next to follow. So now Infamous can just play stall. Charlie in his own 1v1 against IBM. Carefully kiting back here. Is the all-out going to come across? It does. It gets flashed, but Charlie still stays under turn. Aggro, the primordial burst makes it a trade. Now we flash mid lane where Mouse60 is trying to get down on top of Veer. Gets the lockdown. The shield's maybe too much. There's the Soul Sackles to get the pool kill. Shut down over to Mouse60. We flash back towards the base. It's CB Batman. He's got the inhibitor. He's looking for the trade. He gets the heals with the needlework and can only make it 1-for-1. Skirmishes all across the rift, but it's Infamous to come out with the base of Bing Chillers dismantled.
That was a wallet diff. 100%. That was Infamous wallet diffing the crap out of that. You catch a jungler, normally that's GG, that's fight over. But because Batman was so strong, you're able to power through, what was it? 1 in their tower, 1 inhibitor tower, an inhibitor and a Nexus tower. You got so much out of that fight, even though Rigor Mortis got nothing. Rigor Mortis was literally dead for that entirety. But because of the wall of dip, because Charlie was able to duke out 1, you were spread so thin, you weren't able to work out anything. The dragon is the key point here. Mouse60 going to try and run interference at level 14. You can do some work. Is it going to be enough, though?
Is it going to be enough? Dooney is coming over. The hawk shot to spot the dragon being taken. There's the arrow through as well. Rigor Mortis does not cleanse it. That's going to be a really long stun, and he's sitting in a pool that's burning him alive. Will finally put up the shield. He's going to desperately try and secure the Drake before he dies, and he will get it on the way out. Ocean Soul point over to Infamous. Costs them their jungler, but that will be all.
All right, things are getting much dicier right now. These bindings are a little bit scary. Mouse60 does have damage. Let's not go away from that one. Mouse60 can do damage. How much is the other question, but if you're hitting squishies like that, you're pretty solid. And I mean, again, as long as Coffee Beans is up, you can do a very nice catch. You can find one, you can kill them off and then run away. There is room for BCCT. However, that number right there is very important. Charlie ran straight for the AP. I would really like to see that Blighting Jewel come through and get a little bit of MR Shred, considering there are triple Merc Shreds going on right now. We have hit the point where, though, Toomey is able to do some work. Got a killing spree recently, was 0-5-4 at one point, now 3-6-6, ramping their way back up into this game. The power points for both teams is starting to come online, and that's why, once again, this dragon coming up in about 4 minutes is actually where my eyes are. Yes, Baron is important, but Infamous, I think, have had somewhat decent control on the early game over global objectives. Mid to late, it's waned. But if they get that dragon once again, if they get that soul, the Ocean Soul, it's gonna play so well into their hands to keep not only Batman alive, but Rigor Mortis, Charlie, Veer, Seeker, all of them will be able to tank so much more.
I'm interested to see how much Infamous will dip into playing this 4-1, because by this point, with 3 items done, I don't think anybody can confidently answer CB Batman on the side lanes. I think he's got too much damage and healing. He wins into IBM, and you can't let him take another inhibitor. But yeah, we might have a collapse coming on this top side. No binding found there from Moustixi. They're just gonna have to secede control of the Baron pit with the Nash coming in less than a minute. There's the arrow down.
Oh,
Ooh, the Hallowed Miss, make sure it does not land. Won't be a 1v1 for too long, but how much can CB Batman get done? 1 versus 3, need to work down. Trying to heal through all. He's already to cut down IBM, and he jumps the health bar of Coffee Beans. Here comes the paranoia down for Coffee Beans, but now Stixie will keep him safe. There's the Dark bounding down to Rigor Mortis. Will be able to burn through the health bar in time. Rigor Mortis stays up, and here comes Veer. 1 shot, 1 kill into Moustixi. What work done on the side lanes there by CB Batman. He goes 1 versus 3, comes out alive with a kill, and now it's starting to really sting here. A failed flash headbutt. Seeker goes back in, but the Event Horizon is holding Coffee Beans and Toomey at bay. Seeker's going to go in for a valiant self-sacrificial mission. Coffee Beans falls. Excuse me, Coffee Beans drops him. Primordial Person drops
look at that
the Alistair.
Batman.
But what is CB Batman doing? He's just going to end the series on his own. You ignore the Gwen, and it's not just going to be your base taken, it's the series taken. CB Batman from out of nowhere.
To be fair, we like action on here. We love action on the Des, and Batman's like, I don't want action. I am the knight. I am the sneaky captain of the team. I am the one that will carry us to victory, back doors straight in our face, and it was well done. It was very, very well done at the end of the day. I mean, I should have seen it. I knew it was coming because he did it already with the first Nexus Tower.
Yeah, that's true. That entire end game was CB Batman. I mean, he gets the inhibitor turret, an inhibitor, and a Nexus turret on the top side the first time he splits. The second time he goes for a split, he takes the game. I mean, how torqued can Gwen's damage and healing get that 1 versus 3, he's holding an 80 carry at bay with needlework one way and then just snipping through a tank Asante the other. What a game from CB Batman.
And remember, they started out 0-3 at the beginning of this game. It was not a pretty sight, and it was really, I have to say, a team effort to kind of break through that early game. It was looking rough. But Veer, huge shout out there. Nasty scoreline, 16-5-2. Wild damage output, 34,000. It was crazy to take a look at there. Follow through on the back end, Rigor Mortis and Charlie making sure the plays happen. It was a symphony of beauty after a disastrous start, I would say, and we got to see Infamous really rally behind and ensure that they are going to get a really nice seeding heading into playoffs.
This is the fun thing about the qualifiers, is just, these are two teams that you just never would have had match up with each other, right? Because Bing Chillers are a part of that Targon group, and you've got Infamous, a part of Freljord. And like we talked about at the top, I mean, this was a 5-1 Bing Chillers squad, and maybe this just speaks to how much stronger Freljord was as a group, that Infamous come in, and they 2-0, and they 2-0 to push themselves up to 5-2 with a +6 game score. Yeah, they just actually, you know what, I'm breaking the rule, I'm doing the math. I'm pretty certain that Infamous just jumped Bing Chillers in the standings and maybe even higher up.
Yes, they should have. I think they were sitting at about 6. I think they landed about 4th right now because there are a couple other 5-1 squads, and 2 of the 5-1 squads are playing against each other, so they are obviously not getting 2nd or 3rd. I think they landed at 4th. It was very, very important. And I do want to give a shout out. BCCT, I think it was a bad matchup. You ran up against a squad that loved playing early mid fight, even with the composition that maybe didn't lean. So you are a late game team fight squad. It's good either way. And you're still in it. You're still in the playoffs. You get a chance at revenge.
You get a chance at revenge indeed. Revenge, we'll see when it comes in the playoffs, because they are where we go next, folks. Quick wrap up of the qualifiers and the regular season here tonight on the ADL. Next week, we officially start the postseason bracket. But until then, we're going to show some love to the organization that we hope to absolutely crush when it comes to the Tiny Esports versus Aegis Esports bout between all the leagues. We're going to throw a raid on over to them with their Divinity League semifinals. So make sure to go show them some love. First, got to give some love over to Orbital. I mean, what do I got to say? Always fun cast with you, my friend. PVS, our production behind the scenes. Congratulations once more to Infamous as they set themselves up for a big-time playoff run that we'll get to watch, hopefully, starting next week and beyond. Until then, enjoy your week and take care.